Hello all, I am Sylvain Rochon and I am here for another chapter. This is going to be the start of a new section for my book, Engineering Paradise, the second one. And this is the conclusion section, if you will, where I want to look ahead. I want to look a little bit farther than what I've already written, because there's certain things that basically I wrote the book still in a way that people can understand what a world can look like. It's still based on what we know and understand today. However, if we look a little bit farther and a little bit ahead, we are heading into a territory that we just don't know what society could look like, leveraging technologies and things like that. So I want to give a glimpse of that. And I want to kind of talk about what a future without money could look like, because I just talked about money and I explained how an economy can work with all this stuff, including the ledgers, like on the ledgers and basic income and all this stuff. But I'm thinking that it would be possible, because we have such low stress, because we have a humanity that essentially is served by automation. All basic needs are provided for. People are doing things in communities that they want to do, provided value to each other inside communities. Some of them are serving the population in governance. I described that, and law enforcement, and all these ministries that I mentioned. But they don't have to live. They just do it because it's part of their purpose. It's part of their well-being, their objectives in life. They want to contribute in certain ways, and people want to do this. And like I described, people gain more joy in giving than doing things for themselves. So automatically, people want to volunteer. They want to do things, and then if they receive value off of it in units, so that they can purchase other things, great. But my idea is that once we're in that kind of situation, where this is all running through automation and we're doing exactly what we want to do, and we start kind of trading value and units using the technology, all that stuff, in a fairly traditional way of doing things. Like I provide a value, so there's an offer, there's a demand for it, and people want to pay 300, 400, 500 units for it. Well, the person that's going to be offer higher offer competition will buy it, and I receive it. Normal trade. All this stuff may actually become obsolete, and here's the reason why. Nobody's working for a living anymore. Let's imagine that, and you're giving essentially to feel more joy for yourself. And so you're providing something that others would not necessarily be able to do, or they're not interested to. Or they're not interested in receiving from automation, AI, or a machine, because this is all the human interactions I mentioned previously. That is, things that we want to keep doing as humans. Well, if we have all this dynamic system, it's all available on the internet, so it's accessible to everybody. So it's not like you have to only buy from your neighbors. We're already buying internationally, different concepts and services and whatnot. Well, is there a point where we think, well, why are we changing money in the first place? Because there's just so much I can buy. There's, like we talked about, like there's a certain well-being is kind of capped at a certain point where you have everything you really need, and you don't get more joyful by getting more value, more units, right? We've shown that, and the studies have shown this is accurate. So once everybody is basically at that level where the well-being is optimal, I mean, there's no real rat race to do anything for yourself, like to gain more for yourself. You're just kind of going on enjoying yourself, primarily by giving to others, by love, I would call it. What we call it probably today is just you do it for love, like just volunteering. As an example, it doesn't pay, but people do it because they feel like they want to do it, and they get some joy off of it because they feel like contributing to society is more important. So I figure, it's quite possible, and we don't really know for sure. We'll know when we're in that kind of position, but it's possible that we may just put away the need for the transactions of units altogether. It's just do what you want. Everybody does what they want. And the economy is still supported, of course, like the transfer is tracked, but you still need to kind of track things. You still need to take care of the environment. You still need to take care of the assets, because there's limited assets, there's limited land, there's limited, everything. We are on a limited ball of dirt. We can't just go nuts and not take account of everything. But my point is, you don't necessarily need to, if you're fed, you have all your basic needs stuff and more, you don't necessarily need to transact with money anymore. And that's going to be fairly organic change, I think, if we get there. People are just probably going to start, well, I'm just going to give my time away. I'm fine. I don't need extras, so I'm just going to volunteer more. And if there's an increase in volunteering, eventually people will just more or less stop asking for money for stuff. This is with a high amount of automation. This would not be the initial state of things. But it's entirely possible we'll get there. And so we get to that image ideology that I mentioned a couple of times, which is the Federation type of living that's found in Star Trek, the TV show, where in the Federation, people do what they're passionate about. There's no money, there's no need for it. Everything's provided for, using technology, exactly, including people taking risks and going starships and creating new colonies. They like the challenge, whatever. That world is possible. And we can certainly work towards it just by being methodical and still, trying to be fair and equal, using units and using the technologies like decentralized ledgers and so on. And we'll discover if we can live in harmony in society without the need for the money itself. But I believe this is where we're going to end up. It just psychologically, biologically, it just makes sense. If the stress level is low enough and the technology that supports basic needs is efficient enough, that everything is abundant, essentially, within the limits of the atomic resources and land resources of the planet itself. And we can get and do this. So, hey, let's aim for that. Why not? So that's going to be, I'm going to talk more about some of these other topics beyond the core of the book, looking a bit further ahead in the next 1, 2, or 3 chapters. So I'm almost finished with this book at this point. Thanks for listening, and we'll see each other on, well, the next installment. Bye-bye for now.